A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll.
Let's go.
Firefighters.
Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a moment, we'll join Chief Cody and rookie fireman Tim Collins as they puzzle over the rash of small fires that has been plaguing the department the last few days. Breaking out in separate places, bearing no relation one to the other, the direct cause generally unknown. Well, all this has added up to a special assignment for Private Tim Collins. At first, as he looked carefully into the last 2 blazes with the help of his younger brother Jimmy, Tim had been completely at sea. Then, he had discovered what seemed like a point of similarity. A small thing, but perhaps a lead. Now, whether it was or not, we'll see in just 1 minute. Let's go, firefighters. Let's get over to headquarters station and look in on the private office of Chief Cody, where rookie fireman Tim Collins and his young brother Jimmy have just arrived to make their report on what they're beginning to think of as the mystery fires. All of a sudden, as they face the chief across his desk, they realize how little they have to go on and how big the problem is ahead of them. It doesn't help any when Chief Cody swings around in his chair and says,
Well, boys, let's have it. What's the answer?
Well, frankly, Chief, we don't know. The cause of both fires is still a mystery, at least to us.
If it was a firebug, like you wondered, sir, he sure didn't leave any clues.
Now, don't be discouraged.
Well, we went over that bedroom at Mrs. Riley's house with a fine-tooth comb. Nothing there.
Mrs. Riley couldn't tell us how it started or anything.
Yes, sir. Then we headed for the Tupper house to check on that porch fire.
Now, that's where Tim got the idea of looking over what was left of the porch roof, Chief.
Yes, sir. Whether it was a good idea or not all depends. Anyway, I found some charred bits of cloth and some cotton that seems to have been all that was left of a mattress.
A mattress on the roof?
Yeah, that does sound funny at first.
Mrs. Tupper had put it out there to air, and, well, that's the only connection between the 2 fires, Chief.
Connection? Well, I don't get it, son.
Well, gosh, sir, a mattress, bedroom, don't you see?
Not so fast, Jimmy. As far as I could tell, sir, the bedroom fire at Riley started near the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And the Tupper fire definitely started on the porch roof. Now, was a mattress involved in each case?
I see your point, but...
I thought we might find out something about those other mystery fires. If each one of them started in a bedroom...
I'm sorry, Tim, they didn't. I can tell you that right off.
Oh.
The only thing I'm sure they have in common is that nobody knows how they started.
Yes, sir. And if they were set, there'd be a sameness about them. A firebug usually repeats his methods over and over.
Well, I guess we just got to do some more detective work.
Don't sound so discouraged, Jimmy. Tim's right about checking up now on every one of those doggone little fires that have been driving us crazy.
Oh, gee whiz, sir. How can you find out looking in there?
That's a filing cabinet, Jimmy. The chief keeps a complete file on all fires that are unexplained.
Well, let's see. Yesterday, a moving van caught fire in the suburbs. Somebody lost all their furniture.
Well, too bad, but not much help to us.
Boys' camp outside of town. Kids have been cleaning their tents out for inspection. They lost a few cots. Wait a minute. Here's a bedroom fire, Tim, the only one in the lot.
Yes, sir, but that only gives us 2. Well, guess I was barking up the wrong tree, Chief Cody.
Now, hold on a minute. Why, of course.
Well, gosh, Chief, what is it?
Oh, I must be slowing down. You were right, Tim. Good lad. You hit it right on the head.
What?
Why, they're here in every report. Hidden, maybe, but right under our nose.
Well, what is, sir?
Mattresses. Wouldn't a moving van be carrying a mattress among the furniture? These cots that were burned out up at that camp, Wouldn't they maybe have small mattresses? And that bedroom, of course.
Well, what do you know? Oh, sir, they do have that much in common. Only there's one trouble.
I know, Tim, you don't have to say it. Never in my experience have I heard of a mattress catching on fire simply of and by itself.
Yes, sir. If there's no cause, then these fires must have been set. And what kind of a crazy person would go around setting fires to mattresses?
Well...
Alarm, Chief. Will you take it or stand by?
I'm on my way, son, and so are you. If this is another of those mystery blazes, we want to be there no matter how small or unimportant.
Hey, can I come too, Chief? How about me?
Okay, Jimmy. But stick with me, you hear?
Oh, boy, let's roll!
It's only a matter of 4 blocks and less than that in minutes before the chief's car rolls up in front of a 3-story building where smoke seems to be coming from an opening in the roof. Even as the engine company busies itself with lines, the hook and ladder boys have their extension up and their eyes pop, for the man heading up the ladder first is none other than Chief Cody himself, with Private Tim Collins close behind him.
Well, I had a hunch the minute I figured the source of this fire, Tim. Over onto the roof now. Easy does it.
Yes, sir.
Can you make it?
Sure. You know what I think that opening in the roof is, Chief?
Huh?
Where the smoke is pouring out, I think it's a skylight.
Yeah. Work your way over closer to it, Tim.
Right, sir. I still don't know what you're up to. Neither do the men behind us, Chief.
This isn't going to amount to much. No need of my directing action from the ground. This is one fire I want to be in on from the beginning.
Well, sir, you're right on top of it now.
From the position, I figured this is the bedroom below us. And after what we discovered, bedroom fires draw me like a magnet. Unlimber that extinguisher, son.
Yes, sir. Danger spot seems to be directly below this open skylight, Chief. Yeah, that's doing it. And we'll have this under control in a jiffy.
Well, Tim is right. The smoke lessens, and as the chief sizes up the situation as safe, he then throws a leg over the skylight and lowers himself down in. For a moment, he hangs by his hands and then drops into the smoke-filled room below. Tim follows him.
Seems like the rest of the fire department wants in, Tim.
Yes, sir.
What's holding you up?
The door from this room into the hallway is locked. I can't see. There we are. Were you gentlemen looking for a fire by any chance?
Yeah, tell them things have come to a fine pass when the chief has to put out fires by himself.
Yes, sir.
Okay, men, check below. Everything's under control here. If we're clear, Al, report back to me. The rest of you secure.
Hey, for Pete's sake, what are you doing up here, Jimmy?
Well, nobody told me to stay below. But, Chief, how come a fire in a house that's all locked up?
And in a room that's locked also, Jimmy. Just what I'm asking myself.
Good grief, I think I know what you meant by being in luck. That mattress you're looking at.
Right. And a brand new one at that. Before it got the idea of burning itself up and somebody saw the smoke from the street and rang in the alarm.
Say, you think this was like all those others?
Well, we've got a bit more to go on this time. Even though it's only another mattress and another mystery.
Yes, sir. If a firebug set this one, Chief, he can get through locked doors.
And there are plenty of ways of pre-setting a fire, Tim. Plenty of tricks that give the criminal a chance to be far away when the blaze breaks out.
You think these mattress fires might have all been cases like that?
Well, maybe a little digging with this knife will answer that.
Hey, careful, you don't burn your hand ripping that mattress apart, sir.
And don't worry, Jimmy. See these burned holes in the cover, Tim? Several of them.
Yes, sir. No question about it. This fire started right inside that mattress. You find anything in there?
Cotton filling, springs. Exactly what's supposed to be in it. Not a thing that shouldn't be here. Oh, that's mighty strange.
Could it be
spontaneous combustion? No, none of the factors for it.
If mattresses could burst into flames by themselves, Jimmy, we'd all be sleeping on the floor. Well, we're farther away than ever from the answer, Chief.
No, we're moving closer, son. We got this fire out in time to find out where the mattress came from.
Yeah, see that tag the Chief is pointing to, Tim?
Oh, let me see. Clement's department store.
Gosh, I know him. Mr. Clement. I used to run errands for him after school.
What's he like, Jimmy?
Well, gee, like everybody else. He seemed like an awful swell guy to me. Why?
I just wondered. We'll check further, Tim. If the mattresses in each of these mystery fires came from Mr. Clements. We'll have to have a talk with him. Yeah, it's a very serious talk.
But he wouldn't put something in his mattresses that would go off in flames and put people in danger. Well, we certainly didn't find anything. Do you agree, Tim? You've been poking around inside it.
I don't know, Jimmy. Chief, this is just plain cotton, I'm positive. There's no reason in the world why it should burst into flame by itself.
These sudden, meaningless fires have got to stop before something tragic happens, Tim. We've got part of the explanation right here in front of us. And yet the whole business is more mysterious than ever.
Chief Cody looks angry, and you can't blame him. There's no rhyme nor reason to a fire that just happens. If it wasn't preset by human hand, well, what is the answer? Well, we'll see. Be sure to listen to our next exciting episode of The Firefighters. In a moment, Chief Cody will be back to tell you boys and girls something that all firefighters should keep in mind. But first, here's something else you should keep in mind. Now, Chief Bob Cody in the special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Attention, firefighters. This is Chief Bob Cody back with a word of caution for all you boys and girls. If you ever discover fire, get that alarm in fast. And then go mighty easy on any ideas of fighting it yourself. Many people have been overcome by smoke or fumes before they ever got close to the fire itself. So unless you're sure of what you're doing, keep out of the danger zone and don't take chances. That's our job. Well, until next time, this is Chief Cody saying, so long.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go!
Let's go! Firefighters!
In just a moment, X-1. But first, an important subject in these days of snow and blizzard is how to fight the common cold. And tomorrow, NBC's Weekday deals with this problem in a special feature by Dr. Leona Baumgartner, New York City Health Commissioner. Yes, it's NBC's Weekday to keep you up to date in every field, from health to housekeeping, from politics to pots and pans. And there's also the best variety entertainment on Weekday, tomorrow headed by Metropolitan Opera star Robert Merrill. Listen every Monday through Friday to NBC's Weekday. And now stay tuned for X-1.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight's story, $1,000 a Plate by Jack McKenty.
Ferry ship from Deimos Space Station carrying cargo and passengers from Earth now arriving in Blasting Pit 6. Radiation clearance and quarantine officers report to passenger conveyor. Mars Airways to New Chicago, Port Kelly, Marsport Park, New Amityville, and Nova Massapequa. Take off in 15 minutes. All aboard.
Excuse me, sir. Could you help me?
Sure, buddy. What'll it be? Cards? Dice? A little shot of distilled huckleberry?
No, I just wondered if you could direct me.
Brother, you came to the right man. I can direct you anywhere you want to go. That's what I'm here for. You just get off the ferry?
Yes, I came on the Phobos Creek.
Yeah. You know you can spot them in my business. All right, what'll it be now?
Well, I want to know how I can get to the observatory.
The what?
The Mars Observatory. You know, the Astronomical Research Center.
Well, what do you want to go there for?
I work there, or at least I will.
No kidding. Mm-hmm. You're one of them double-dome stargazers, huh?
Yes, I'm an astronomer.
Yeah, I heard there was a lot of you guys out there under glass, but I don't get out of town much. I got to keep my hand in, you know. Are you sure you wouldn't like a little flutter before you settle down in your rut?
No, I never play cards. Occasionally a little chess.
Uh-huh. I don't know if they got any chess in any of the casinos, but if you want, I could arrange it. You know, play against the house, $5 apiece for the kitty, and a C-note for checkmate.
No, thank you. Can you direct me to the observatory?
Well, you'll have to get a sand hack. None of the regular buses go by there. They just hit the casinos on the strip. Hey, I'll tell you what. The next ferry won't clear for another half hour. I'll walk you over to the hack stand.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you, Mr.
Just call me Pusher. It's on account of my occupation, you know.
Oh, I see. I'm Enright C. Bensinger, Dr. Bensinger.
Well, it's a pleasure, Doc. Right this way.
Well, this isn't exactly what I expected.
Your first trip to Mars, huh?
Yes, it is.
Well, you'll get used to it. Out this way. Adjust your gills.
Gills?
Sure. But what do you think you're going to breathe outside that door? There isn't enough oxygen on Mars to keep a mouse alive. They gave you a standard issue when you got off the ferry. It's in that bag.
Oh. Yes, I'm afraid I was reading when they explained it. The quarterly journal from the Harvard Observatory, you know.
Hmm? Oh, yeah. I never miss a copy. Now, look, you put the nose clip in, see, and crack the valve. This way it compresses enough air to keep you going. Okay? All right, let's go.
Cold.
Sure, it's cold. Sand hacks are right up the street there.
Beautiful. All the colors in the sky. I am surprised, though, in an atmosphere this thin, the sunset shouldn't be as spectacular.
That ain't the sunset, Chief. That's the new sign on top of the Canal Casino. Right there behind you, see?
Fun.
Yeah, but if you want a square shake with the dice, you go to Harry Harvey's place, the Red Sands Hotel.
I suppose the seeing is excellent.
You're telling me. You know, he's got a line of girls like you never see nowhere else.
Oh, I'm afraid I meant astronomical seeing. The telescopes, you know.
Hey, you got an idea there. Telescopes.
What's that?
Nothing. Fireworks. It's a Mardi Gras.
So what?
Mardi Gras. You know, big party all over town. Parades, costumes, liquor, fireworks, gambling. You know, big celebration.
Well, what's the occasion?
An eclipse of the two moons.
Oh, but that occurs very frequently.
Oh, sure. You'd be surprised how much a Mardi Gras ups to take on the strip. Well, here are the sand hacks, and look, don't let them hackies charge you more than $15 for the trip. Just tell them you know me. Just tell them Pusher sent you.
Gentlemen, I want you all to meet Dr. Bensinger, our new colleague. These are Drs. Fitz, Spiegel, Ortney, and Klein. I'm sorry to introduce you to our team at such a critical moment, but our situation is rather desperate.
Well, I'm afraid I don't understand.
Spiegel, show Dr. Bensinger your plate.
Here, just look at this. Just look. It took me 8 weeks working with the computer to plot this plate, and look.
It seems fogged. These streaks, I don't believe I've ever seen them on an astronomical photograph before. What are they?
Skyrockets, that's what they are. Skyrockets. Morton, I tell you that they fired them in our direction on purpose.
All right. Calm down, Spiegel.
Calm down? Do you realize that it will be 12 years before this particular conjunction can be photographed again? Morton, you've got to do something.
Couldn't you write a little note to the Chamber of Commerce and ask them to eliminate the fireworks?
We've written a note every time a small boy lets off a Roman candle, and it was no use.
I tell you, they fire them this way on purpose.
I'm afraid that's true. The other directions around town are either oil refineries or homes of the casino owners.
I don't suppose there's any chance of moving the observatory, then, out into the desert.
My dear Dr. Bensinger, we'd have to bring in crews to tear it down, other crews to move it and set it up, not to mention breakage and replacement, which would involve more freight from Earth at $7.97 per pound, dead weight. As it is, the immense costs add up to a staggering total. Do you know what a single photographic plate costs us, counting overhead? $1,000.
Well, then what is the answer?
Another letter to the town council, I suppose. Let me write it this time, Dr. Morton. My grandmother used to have several rather picturesque phrases which I believe I could translate.
No, Spiegel. Dignity, remember? We are an adjunct of Harvard University. Dr. Spiegel, I shall ask you and Dr. Benziger to accompany me in person to the town council. Surely they cannot turn down a rational request in the interest of science.
Well, gentlemen, the town council appreciates the problem.
Yes, I felt certain it would. Naturally, you're aware of the importance of astronomical research, Mr. Harvey.
Well, I can see your point, Doc. You sit out there in your little glass hut, pointing your brownie camera up at the stars, snapping away. But you got to look at our point of view.
Oh?
Now you take my place. Harvey's Red Sands. I got a heavy investment. 14 crap tables, a half a dozen roulette wheels, and the rest of the overhead. I got to keep them wheels running. It's the Marzi Gras that drags the suckers in.
But really, Mr. Harvey, we were just asking you to curtail the pyrotechnic display.
Now, wait just a minute. I'm as clean living as the next guy.
Oh, Dr. Benziger means the fireworks.
Oh. Well, I'd like to help you out, boys, but I look at it this way. Those stars you're looking at are going to be up there for a couple of 1,000 years. But a sucker is different. You got to grab him while he's still healthy.
But in the interest of science, surely the town council can't agree with you.
Doc, the town council's made up of Joe Rocco, Pete Carney, Alex the Armenian, and me. We own the 4 biggest houses in town. So go ahead, fellas. Take all them snapshots you want to. If you happen to lower your telescope, get a couple of good ones through a window of the Grand Canal Hotel. I'll take a couple of 8x10 enlargements. I'll see you around, Doc.
Well, I'm afraid the town council was no help.
They just remain insensible to reason.
Well, I'm afraid the only thing those gentlemen understand is money.
My dear Dr. Benziger, the smallest bet allowed in Mr. Harvey's establishment is approximately the same as your monthly salary.
Oh. Dr. Morton, suppose the gambling operators were suddenly to lose a great deal of money.
They never do.
Of course, with the ordinary layman playing against them. But suppose the best scientific brains were to concentrate on a simple matter like the probabilities of a given roulette wheel, or the combinations and permutations applicable to a game of poker. We could put the main computer on it.
Doctor, are you seriously suggesting...
Well, I think he's got a point. If we could give those casinos a shellacking, they might stop the fireworks just to get rid of us.
Now, let me get this straight, Doc. All you eggheads up there made up a kitty to get into a crap game?
Well, that's right. I thought you might direct me to the largest establishment, Mr. Harvey's place, I believe.
Now, look, Doc, come over here. Mm-hmm. No, over here in the corner. Now, look, I'm a pusher. See, my job is to take these tourists by the lapel and shove them in front of a dice table quick before they spend any of their letters foolishly on food and lodging. But these rubes, they come here expecting to get took. They don't miss it, you understand? It's all part of a good time. But you guys out there running your Harvard peekaboo racket, you're different. Now, what do you want to get mixed up in this for? You take your peanuts home and shove it in the piggy bank. Save up and buy yourself a new telescope or something.
I appreciate your solicitude, Mr. Pusher, but I'm quite determined. Which way is Mr. Harvey's place?
Well, if you've made up your mind, the bus leaves from right over there in about 15 minutes. Get a round-trip ticket, because Mr. Harvey don't want no suckers stuck without they got car fare away from his place.
I shouldn't worry about that. Frankly, I expect to leave Mr. Harvey flat broke. I'll see you just before dawn. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it.
But what happened?
Luckily, a certain Mr. Pusher was generous enough to lend me $15 for a sand hack. Otherwise, I would have had to walk.
Well, that was rather decent of him.
Well, not exactly. He said he gets a percentage when he pulls in a ripe chump.
You mean it's all gone?
Every dollar. I just can't understand it. I kept careful notes. I followed the formula that was worked out by the computer. I calculated the odds by slide rule, carrying them to the 4th and 5th decimal place. I just can't understand it. Mr. Pusher said that I had a frigid digit.
A what?
A cold finger. I gather that's the opposite of a hot hand.
But according to the games theory as outlined in the last International Congress of Theoretical Mathematics...
Unfortunately, at the last Mathematical Congress, they weren't trying to make a 4 the hard way.
There they go again, skyrockets. I was hoping to get at least 3 plates in before they started.
And the crushing blow occurred when Mr. Pusher offered to sell me my horoscope.
No.
Yes. Oh. He said anyone was a fool to get into a dice game if the stars weren't right.
Now, there's an example of what we're up against. Medieval superstition existing side by side with hydrozyne rockets and nuclear space drives. Shocking!
I'm not so sure. Might be a good idea.
Dr. Morton sent for the staff psychiatrist. Benzinger has scratched his reflector.
No, gentlemen. Pusher was right. Every man who's going to gamble should have a horoscope. It's very important to know what the stars say.
What are you talking about?
And where on Mars is the place best equipped to tell you what the stars say?
Oh, no.
Dr. Benzinger.
Gentlemen, I tell you, it may be a stroke of genius. Hello? Is this the advertising office? This is Dr. Benzinger. I should like to place an ad. No. No, there will be no pretty girl. Just this. Free. For the first time ever, your horoscope scientifically cast by the staff of the famous Mars Observatory. Learn your luck, your future. Write or call Mars Observatory. No charge, no obligation. Yes, thank you. I'd like to run that every day until further notice.
Pusher.
Yeah, Mr. Harvey.
Did you do like I said?
Yes, sir. I went out to the observatory just like you told me. You know, I had to share the sand hack with 5 other guys. I understand the bus company's putting a route out there.
A big crowd, huh?
Sure, Mr. Harvey. You know, them horoscopes they're giving there, the only thing on Mars that don't cost the tourists any money.
All right. What happened?
Well, when I got out there was this Doc Benzinger, you see, all dressed up in a dunce cap with stars on it or something, in a big robe. They showed us all around the place. You never saw telescopes as big as that.
All right. Skip the travel line.
All right. Well, finally, they took my name and my birth date, my collar size, and they run it through this computer. You should have seen that thing. Lights and bells. I'm telling you, it looked like the biggest pinball machine you ever saw. I kept waiting for it to tilt.
The horoscope.
Yeah, well, they give it to me finally. I mean, the first couple of pages is the ordinary bourgeois about the sun and the moon and the stars. But on the 4th page, that's the kicker.
What'd it say?
Well, it said that I'd be real lucky at most of the gambling places, but I'd lose my shirt at... boss, you're not going to like this.
Go ahead.
I'd lose my shirt if I played at Harry Harvey's place.
Pretty shrewd. You know, for a bunch of scientists, they're pretty smart. That isn't going to work. Who in his right mind is going to pay attention to a lot of hooey like that?
Sure, Mr. Harvey. Can I go now?
What's your hurry?
Well, I'm going over to Purple Flamingo to play a little poker. I mean, after all, they say I'll be lucky any place but here. I mean, you can't argue with science.
Gentlemen, I think we're on our way. I checked Mr. Harvey's establishment. You could shoot an elk in the gambling room.
Empty, eh?
There was nobody playing but an elderly masochist who likes to lose.
Dr. Morton, we have a visitor.
Benzinger, I have asked you please to take off that confounded astrologer's hat when you come into my office. It embarrasses me.
Oh, I'm sorry. But, Doctor, allow me to present Mr. Harry Harvey.
Hiya.
How's business, Mr. Harvey?
Yeah. Well, look, gentlemen, let's put our cards on the table. You put a hole in my pocket like I haven't had since I once ran into an honest police lieutenant in Cincinnati.
I presume you've come about our horoscope.
Yeah. Let's shoot or get off the foul line. How much?
I beg your pardon?
How much will it take to lay off?
Mr. Harvey, just a promise.
What?
You're on the town council, Mr. Harvey. Now, the next time the question of tourist entertainment is discussed, we want you to vote against any fireworks display.
Well, sure, that's no problem, but look, I'm only one vote.
Oh, don't worry, Mr. Harvey. Every one of the casino owners on the council will have his turn to be, mentioned in the stars.
Yeah? You gonna knock us all one by one like a flight of ducks?
Well, that's the general idea.
I gotta hand it to you. I gotta take off my hat to you.
Mr. Harvey, we're desperate. We cannot afford to let valuable and irreplaceable photographic plates be spoiled by fireworks.
Okay, you win. But listen, here's $5 bills.
$500? But we couldn't take it, Mr. Harvey. I've already explained.
It's not for me. I want you to take a full-page ad and do the purple flamingo in your next horoscope. I'd like to see Joe Rocco's face when he gets a load of it.
All right, Mr. Harvey. We'd be glad to take him next.
Oh, and one more thing before I go. Can I look through the telescope? I never looked through one before.
Well, that's the last of them. The Red Sands, Frank Land's Paradise, the Martian Gardens, the Two Moons Club.
And the Purple Flamingo. Dr. Morton, we've got them all.
There will be a meeting of the town council a week from now, and after that, no more fireworks. All those beautiful stars and nebulae and not a misbegotten skyrocket to stand between us. Oh, it's beautiful.
Gentlemen, I have some news for you.
You have?
I am in receipt of an interplanetary radiogram from our parent organization, the Harvard Observatory.
Are they going to send the new mass spectroscope?
Please. Morton, Earth newspapers carrying accounts of horoscopes published by your organization. Very unscientific. Harvard Board of Overseers aghast. Must stop at once. Find other solution. Signed, L.K. Bell, Director.
Well, I thought Thursday was the regular day for personal message delivery.
It is.
Oh, Mr. Harvey.
I asked Mr. Harvey to wait in the washroom. He brought the message down.
Oh, sure. All of us have contacts in the radio office. We can get a hold of messages a couple of days before they clear.
Did you come down to gloat over our misfortune, Mr. Harvey?
No. You got my promise to help you boys, and I'll stick by you. But the rest of them, well, it's tough, fellas, but business is business. I'm afraid the fireworks will go on as usual.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey.
Look, what would happen if you brought all the boys out here, showed them around, and then you could offer to name a star after them or something? I'd sure like to be able to point in the sky and say, that's Harvey's star.
Well, Mr. Harvey, I'm afraid any stars worth looking at with the naked eye already have names. Besides, Harvard Observatory wouldn't stand for this idea either. It would make as much sense to them as you naming a poker chip after me.
But, Dr. Morton, we've got to think of something.
We tried rigging up a photoelectric cell. It closes the shutter when a rocket goes up, but it cuts the exposure time too much.
But if we can't get these plates, we may not be able to duplicate them for years. Why, right now they're preparing the first trip to a newly discovered planet. And the work of the observatory is necessary to ensure the success of that trip. Now, surely your colleagues will realize that, Mr. Harvey. The future of the human race is at stake.
Doc, the only race those jokers are interested in takes place at Tropical Park.
Look out there. They're starting the fireworks.
All of them heading this way again.
No. It's nothing personal. It's just that if we point them any other way, they're likely to splash people. Or maybe set something on fire.
You mean if the rockets misfired and get the tourists all wet, there would be trouble?
Oh, sure. You couldn't have that. A guy with wet pants ain't going to stand around no crap table for hours.
Mr. Harvey, do you really want to help us?
Well, sure. I promised, didn't I?
Dr. Spiegel, do you think the research library would have any material on pyrotechnics?
Bensinger, what do you have in mind?
Well, Dr. Morton, I was thinking of fighting fire with fireworks. Careful with that match, Harvey.
Oh, don't worry. With the oxygen around here, you need a blowtorch to light a cigarette.
Have you got the rockets ready, Dr. Bensinger?
Well, here they are in the launching racks. I've got all my instruments, compass, a clinometer, an azimuthal radioscope, and a blowtorch.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Spiegel. He's bringing the calculated trajectories from the computer.
Say, I don't know if I like this. What if they miss? Or they go off too soon or something?
Oh, nonsense, Mr. Harvey. You forget. We're scientists.
Here are the figures, Bensinger. We double-checked them on the master computer.
All right, then, let's go. They'll be starting the official fireworks any minute.
Azimuth 360.3570.
Check.
Elevation 49.3740.
Check.
That's corrected for wind, velocity, temperature change, and magnetic eddy currents.
Are you sure you guys know what you're doing with them skyrockets?
Don't worry, Mr. Harvey. They're going to explode in the Grand Canal and get everybody in the Canal Casino all wet. You shouldn't object. After all, it's your competition.
Coming up to 0 hour, Bensinger.
Light the torch.
5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, fire. There they go.
Oh, interesting effect. The purple color.
Oh, do you like it?
Yes.
That was my idea. Radioactive fluorides.
They're up over the town now.
Hey, one of them's beginning to wobble.
Oh, I can't understand that. The computer was absolutely certain.
It's going over the south of town.
The other one's tracking correctly on the radar. It'll hit the canal square.
Yeah, but look, the purple one. There it goes. It hit.
Looks like it's starting a fire.
Hey, must have hit somebody's house. Hey, you can see it now. It's a house burning.
Oh, dear. There must have been a weak tube in the computer.
Yeah. Some guy's going to be real sore. I can see it real clear with the glasses now. That house on top of the hill there by the Geeko bush. Boy, it's burning like...
Mr. Harvey, what's the matter?
That's my house!
Dr. Benzinger, I've called you in to read a letter that I've written to Mr. Harvey. Oh, do you know his address?
I believe he's staying at his gambling establishment. His house was a total loss.
Yes, well, yes. This has been a very difficult letter for me to write.
I believe the letter is academic, Dr. Morton. Mr. Harvey is outside.
Oh, he is?
With two very large gentlemen with bulging pockets.
Oh, dear. I don't know what to say. Well, Mr. Harvey, what a surprise.
You two apes wait outside. Now, Dr. Morton, about those fireworks. I want you to know I believe in direct action. I don't like fiddling around.
Well, of course not.
Like the time I had some trouble with a bottom dealer from Luna City. I didn't fool around. I sent him back to the moon in a cargo rocket. With no air.
How interesting.
Now, about your problem.
I assure you, we apologize.
Apologize? That's great.
I just remembered I left a few plates in the bar.
Don't go away, Doctor. You're in on this, too.
No, there wouldn't be room. Not for two of us.
What are you talking about?
Well, in a cargo rocket, especially without air.
What? I'm trying to tell you. The council voted against fireworks.
No, as a matter of fact, I have a very bad sinus, and no air would definitely... What?
Oh, sure. We decided anything that could burn down an honest citizen's house was too dangerous. Very civic-minded, that council.
But I don't understand.
I kept my promise. I said I'd help you, and I did.
Well, I'm terribly embarrassed. We were trying to get a collection among the staff to help you pay for your loss, but I'm afraid the total assets of the observatory wouldn't reconstruct your garage.
Yeah.
But we held a staff meeting, and we decided on a more permanent kind of remembrance. Mr. Harvey, on this photograph, you see this trail? This bright trail?
Oh, one of them skyrockets again? I'm sorry, Doc. It won't happen again.
No. This is no skyrocket. It's a comet. It will be quite bright for several months. And we've decided to call it Harvey's Comet.
Harvey's Comet? Hey, that's real nice. Harvey's Comet. Hey, Doc, you put me on top of the world. Them boys at the Canal Casino boasting about their new sign. But me, I got a comet. Harvey's Comet. Why, every sucker on Mars will see it every night. It's the best advertisement since they wrote 7 down across the face of the moon.
Well, I'm glad that you're pleased.
Well, as a matter of fact, Doc, I kind of heard about it in advance of one of your boys. You named the comet after me? Okay. I brought something for you. Here.
What is it?
A poker chip from my place. Go ahead, read it.
Harvey's Club. Dr. Morton's poker chip. 5,000.
That's dollars, Doc. Don't spend it all in one place.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was an NBC Radio Network production.
In just a few hours, the Gregory party will attempt to escape from the Magic Island. When the Gregory yacht, with Mrs. Gregory, Captain Tex Bradford, and Jerry Hall aboard, was captured and drawn to the strange island of Euclidia by magnetic force, a little homing pigeon was released to carry word of their trouble to another boat with Johnson on board. Johnson, in turn, released a pigeon which arrived safely at the Gregory yacht. And with the aid of these clever little birds, the prisoners have arrived at what seems to be a chance to escape. The Euclidean scientists are asleep in the chemical laboratory, victims of a formula Captain Bradford gave them. Jerry and Joan are in the radio cabin on the yacht, planning a desperate move to help Mrs. Gregory and the captain.
It's a slick plan, Joan, if we can only get away from this yacht to try it out.
I think if you leave that to me, Jerry, I will be able to give Mother and the captain a plausible excuse for our sudden desire to return to the island.
Well, if you can, with these 2 ray guns you swiped from the commander, we've got a chance to put it over. But I guess we'll have to get the plan all worked out before we leave here. There won't be any place we can talk without being heard once we get down inside that blamed island.
Oh, yes, Jerry. We may go to the sound channel for one.
Yeah, that's right.
And there are many small rooms throughout the island where we may talk in privacy if the Euclideans are not using them.
Yeah, if.
There will be many of the chemists' private quarters vacant. Remember that every chemist on the island is asleep in the laboratory.
Yeah, but it isn't the chemists we're worrying about. It's the electrical engineers and the radio operators and the submarine guards. We've got to get past all of them some way and get our hands on the switches or whatever cuts off the current supply on this island. We've got to get everything shut off so there's no chance of the Euclideans doing anything to stop us when we sail out of here right after dark.
It can be done, Jerry. It will be dangerous and exciting, but it can be done.
Okay, kid. I'm with you if you say so. But now we've got to think up an excuse to get off this yacht and onto the island.
I think, Jerry, the best way is for us to tell Mother and the captain what we intend trying to do.
They'll never let us do it.
I think they will. Captain Bradford will realize that our only hope is to render the island as nearly powerless as possible, and he will see instantly that you and I can move about in the island with greater freedom and less suspicion than would be allowed him.
It might work. We'll ask them anyhow. But remember this, if they say no, we'll find a way to go just the same.
Agreed, Jerry. We will, what you say, extract a rapid one.
You mean pull a fast one?
Exactly.
Ah, you're talking, Joan.
Oh, here are Mother and the captain.
Don't spring it up too soon now.
What's that, Jerry? You and Joan going to spring something on us?
Maybe. After a while.
Joan, dear, you and Jerry both look very guilty about something. You haven't been getting into trouble, have you?
Oh, no, Mother. We merely have a little something to tell you and the captain after a few minutes.
Well, I guess the mystery will keep. Just now, I've got to get a message to Johnson, and I've got to get it to him quick.
You see, Jerry, Tex has run a wire through the holes in the sides of these boats and connected our transmitter to the aerial in the other boat.
Oh, swell, Tex. That ought to help a lot.
Yes, it will, but the batteries are nearly dead. I'm afraid to run the motors anymore for fear someone on the island will suspect something.
I think it is very dangerous, Captain, to try getting a message to Johnson. These Euclideans will surely understand what you are trying to do.
Don't you think, dear, that they were deceived about Johnson? That they believe Johnson came in here aboard his boat, don't they?
They do now, but it would take only a little suggestion to make them realize they had been tricked.
Hey, hold everything. I got an idea.
What is it, kid?
Well, it's pretty sure these Euclidean guys believe that McLeod is Johnson, all right?
Yes, Jerry. They believe that, as they had only heard his voice over the radio.
Then why not get Mac in here now? Let him send a message to Johnson, and that might help the idea along.
I'm afraid of that, Jerry.
Why, Pat?
Because they'd surely recognize the different voice when they heard it over the radio. Just now they believe Mac is Johnson because he's only spoken briefly to G47, pretended to have a sore throat then. But if he were to attempt to send a message... No, I think it'd do more harm than good.
You're right, Pat.
Sorry. Guess my idea wasn't so hot.
Never mind, Jerry. You will get another one someday.
Hey, I get them all the time.
Now, you two stop quarreling and give us a chance to send a message. Perhaps you'd better do it, Tex. You can work the initial code into it without writing it down. I'd have to scribble it out first.
Right. I'll see what I can do. Now, you can check this for me, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
Copy what I sent. Then we'll see if I hit the code accurately and all, enough for Johnson to decipher it. I'm afraid if I write it out, it'll sound so cut and dried anyone would know what I'm trying to do.
I'm ready. Go to it.
May I copy it also, Captain?
Sure, Joan, but you may find it a little fast when you're not used to it.
I will try and keep up with you.
Quiet now. Let Tex get his message over.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry to butt in, and I know that message is important. But I've got to say just one more thing.
All right, Jerry, but time's worth money now.
I know it, but I think you'll see where this is worth the time. Now, wouldn't it be better if you could get that message out without the Euclideans being able to intercept it? I mean, even if they could hear it, wouldn't it be better to know it was at least getting past the edge of the island?
Of course, Jerry, but that's impossible. All we can hope for is to get enough of the message outside the magnetic ring to do some good before they realize its value and stop our beam.
But suppose your beam is being stopped at all times. Then the Euclideans have your message. They may take their time in deciphering it, but long before dark, before you are ready to attempt the escape, they will know your plans and be ready to spoil them.
I know all that, Joan, but we've got to take the chance.
Oh, no, you don't, Tex. Look, if you let Joan and I try something...
That is right, Jerry. I feel this is the time to tell them.
Tell us what? Have you two a plan of real value?
We think it is, but you've got to let us tell you the whole thing before you say no.
Well, get on with it, son. If it sounds possible, we'll let you try it anyhow.
There, Jerry, you see? Now tell them about it.
Well, Joan and I figured we could get around a lot of places on the island easier than you two, because the Euclideans think Tex has got all the sense in this outfit.
Go on, Jerry.
And the first thing we need right now is to be sure of two things. First, that we can get a message to that boat Johnson's on and let him know we're going to make a break for it.
Right so far.
And also, we must make sure that no one on this island will be in a position to stop us when we take the boat out after dark tonight.
Well, of course, those things would be nice. It's rather foolish to talk about arranging it so easily.
Yes, I'm afraid you've taken on too big an order, Jerry.
Oh, no, sir, we haven't. Now listen carefully to this. Joan knows a lot of the rooms in the island where we can talk without being heard on the rest of the island. And if we can make our way from one of these rooms to the other and take over control of each section we pass through, we can finally get the main control rooms and shut off all the electricity on the island. Then they can't make a move. And we can get our radio messages out first, then fix it so the boat can sail, and no one will ever know it till it's too late to stop us.
Why, Jerry, that's madness. You and Joan will most certainly do no such thing.
Not while I know it. Why, you kids wouldn't have a chance.
I think we would have a very good chance, Captain.
Oh, sure, Tex. Let us try it. Please. We can put it over. Please.
No, Tex, I won't permit it.
Neither will I. Why, you kids would just be getting started when one of those Euclideans would turn a ray gun on you. And when you woke up, you'd be prisoners in one of their submarine cells. Our escape would be hopeless, as we certainly wouldn't leave without you.
But what if Jerry and I were using the ray guns ourselves, and were very careful to let no one see us? What then?
Well, of course, you might have a chance then, but where would you get the ray guns?
I have 2 of them.
Joan, you what?
You've got 2 of those things?
Sure she has. And they're the 5-minute kind, the 300-second ray, the Euclideans call them.
But how did you get them, dear? I thought the Euclideans guarded those guns with their lives.
When Jerry and I were in the laboratory and the gas fumes from the captain's formula put all the Euclideans to sleep, Jerry and I fell as if we were also overcome. And I took care to fall near the commander, almost on her, in fact. And when the others were all asleep, and Jerry and I stood up to run out, I had both of the commander's ray guns hidden in my dress.
Joan, that's one of the finest things I ever heard of.
Joan, dear, your mother's so proud of you.
Didn't I tell you she was slick? And now what do you think of our chances?
You will surely allow us to go now, will you not?
Well, I don't know. The idea of you kids running around inside that island with a couple of those ray guns doesn't make much of a hit with me.
No, the guns make it even more dangerous. If you two were unarmed, you'd probably be taken without harm and merely confined in a cell. But with those things, you'd take chances and deliberately run into danger. No, I don't like it.
Oh, but gee, Mrs. Gregory, if Joan and I did all right about getting ourselves into that laboratory and out again, and if Joan's clever enough to get those guns, we ought to have a chance to show what we can do.
Yes, Mother. Jerry and I are quite capable of taking care of ourselves, and it should be our privilege to contribute at least a portion of the energy expended toward our ultimate freedom.
She means we ought to get a crack at helping things along.
Please, Captain Bradford, we will be very careful.
Oh, sure, Tex. Joan and I will watch every move, and before we get caught, we'll run right back to you. How's that?
Well, Pat,
You'd let them go if I would, wouldn't you, Tex?
Yes, dear, that's a big chance for them. If you and I fail to get off this island our own way, we've not only let them down, but we refuse them a chance to help themselves and all of us.
You're right, Tex. I'm only being a woman about it. It's a little hard for me to think of Joan taking such chances. For 14 years, I've searched the world over for her. Now, only a few days after I found her, I must let her go again. Go into danger because of me.
Oh, forget it, Mrs. Gregory. I'll take care of Joan. No matter what happens, I'll look out for her. And you and the captain can do a lot more good by being right here on this boat and having everything ready to shove off as soon as it gets dark.
All right, you win, kid. Though it seems funny for Pat and me to sit here and let you kids run these risks. Oh, I know it's a sensible thing to do.
Now, Captain Bradford, if you will give me the message you were going to send in the hope Johnson might hear it, I will copy it. And Jerry and I may get a chance to send it from the Euclidean control chamber.
Yeah. Then we'd know it got out all right.
But wouldn't it be heard other places on the island?
Not if we were able to operate the controls ourselves. We could regulate the beam transmission apparatus so that the message could only be picked up by a radio receiver and not by the electric ears around the island.
You certainly know this island, Joan.
I have had 14 years in which to learn of it. Now, may I have the message, Captain?
Right, Joan. I'll give it to you slowly and you can copy it. And we'll see if the code comes out right.
You may speak as rapidly as you wish.
Do you know shorthand, Joan?
I do not understand what you mean. I merely make small marks for big words.
That's shorthand, all right. Come on, let's get going.
Right. Here it is. Call any station. Sign the Gregory yacht. Here is the message. Every indication, going have trouble. Possibly may feel, unwise even, leave free in this yacht. Many islanders, lying in forced sleep, don't indicate especially sincere enjoyment. Longer, unusual silence. Envelops are waiting now. Perhaps later advice. Nearer solution.
The first letter of each word will spell the message we want Johnson to get.
I have it translated. 8 p.m. Fuel 50 miles. Diesel. Use own plans.
If Johnson gets that, we're saved sure.
Johnson will get it.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, grave danger threatens Perry White and John Grayson as Superman and Inspector Henderson seek desperately to find some clue to their whereabouts and the identity of their captors.
Hello there, gang. This is your pal Dan McCullough. You know, in order to be hep these vacation days, you have to feel hep, wide awake and alive. And you can't feel that way if you don't eat right. So, gang, give a cool, inviting breakfast a chance to show you what it can do to help begin your day. Start with Kellogg's Pep with cool milk and sugar. There's a treat that is a treat. Those golden flakes of pep are so light, so fresh and crisp, they practically say, come on, dig in. That lively golden toasted flavor is strictly super, strictly terrific. And the same goes for the swell bonus you get in every pep package. Meaning, of course, those keen prizes, all three kinds. For instance, you'll get either a colored cardboard model of a famous fighting plane, one of 7 in the Great Pep Air Fleet, or you'll get one of 24 beautiful color pictures of birds with a full description on the reverse side to help you identify these birds anywhere. Or else you'll find a bright-colored comic button picturing one of 18 characters straight out of the funnies. Sure is great fun to collect the whole series to pin on your jacket or your beanie cap. So start collecting yours as a prize with Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Now, the adventures of Superman. As you remember, Editor Perry White and John Grayson, publisher of the Metropolis Daily Planet, were abducted by Rufus Pelly, a corrupt manufacturer of war materials who wishes to use the planet for propaganda against the World Peace Federation. Then, when Grayson, backed by White, refused to turn over his great newspaper to Pelly, the munitions magnate condemned them to death. Meanwhile, after trying vainly to pick up Grayson's trail, Superman and Inspector Henderson were about to admit defeat when the Man of Steel spied a broken guardrail at the end of a dark, deserted street that ended at the river. There, resting on the muddy bottom of the river, far below the surface, Superman saw a car. And as we continue now, standing at the broken guardrail, Inspector Henderson gasps as Superman bursts up from the dark waters with the dripping car and sets it down on the street.
There you are, Inspector.
Great Lucifer, Superman. Why, you brought that car up from the bottom of the river as if it were a feather.
Never mind that now. Look, it's a maroon sedan. Same kind of a car John Grayson was taken away in.
Uh-huh. Let's have a look inside.
Look out. You'll get a bath if you open that door. The car's full of water.
Yeah, but what if
There's nobody in it, don't worry. What's more, nobody was in it when it crashed through the guardrail.
Yeah, how do you know?
Well, the windows and doors are closed. Even if anyone could have opened the door underwater, he couldn't have closed it again.
Oh, then what do you think happened?
My guess is that another car was waiting here, to which Mr. Grayson was transferred. Then this car was sent to the bottom of the river to throw pursuers off the trail.
Could be. But we're not sure this is the car they used.
I'm sure enough, Inspector.
Well, even if you're right, this doesn't help us much. The water must have washed away any possible clues for now.
Not all of them. The water didn't wash away 2 clues.
2 clues? What? Where?
Right in front of your eyes, Inspector. The license plates and the factory number on the engine block. Let's see. It's H35.
Oh, wait a minute, Superman. I'm surprised at you.
Why?
You don't think those guys used their own car, do you? If this is the sedan they used, the chances are 1,000 to 1 they stole it.
Not necessarily, Inspector. As a matter of fact, I don't think they did.
Well, I'll prove it to you. Come on back to headquarters, and we'll look up the owner of this maroon job.
Just what I was going to suggest. You got the license number?
You bet.
Good. Get set for a fast trip?
I'm all set.
Here goes. Next stop, headquarters. Up, up, and away!
What did I tell you, Superman? Here's a report on a stolen maroon sedan. Came in about an hour ago.
I see. Everything check on it?
Yep. License number, motor number, same as the car you pulled out of the river. Here, see for yourself.
It's the same, all right.
Sure, I told you it was stolen. We know from experience that crooks usually steal a car for an important job, so if they're spotted, well, they can't be traced to them.
Right, but usually they abandon it. They don't go to all the time and trouble of dumping it into the river, do they?
Well, no. I'll admit I can't figure out why these fellas did that.
I can. It was their own car.
Oh, nonsense. I tell you, Superman, I've dealt with plenty of criminals.
They wouldn't risk using a stolen car, not these criminals. Suppose the theft was discovered and reported at once. Their men might be caught in the car, and the brains behind the plot could then be traced.
True. But why dump the car in 60 feet of water, where the chances are all against its being found, and then report the theft?
Simply because they're clever, Inspector. They're always thinking one step ahead. You see, if by any chance the car were found, their skirts would be clean because they'd already reported to the police that it had been stolen.
Yeah, I suppose that does make sense, but
Tell me, who's the owner of the car according to the registration?
Let's see. Oh, yes, here it is. Fellow named Paul Brower.
Paul Brower.
Occupation, owner of a gasoline station.
Gasoline station?
That's right. He apparently runs a gas station in New Beacon. That's about 20 miles up the coast.
Yes, I know.
So there goes your theory, Superman. I can hardly see the operator of a small-town gas station behind a big plot to sabotage the World Peace Federation. Can you?
No, but...
But what?
I suggest we go to see Mr. Paul Brower, Inspector.
Why? It's a waste of time.
Maybe yes, maybe no. Anyhow, since it's the only lead we have, there's nothing to lose. Come on.
Superman and Inspector Henderson start for the gasoline station. Editor Perry White and John Grayson seem to have reached the end of their rope. We're at a concrete dock below Rufus Pelly's huge island home. A long, sleek speedboat lays to in the moonlight, its powerful motors purring. A line trailing from its stern is made fast to a rowboat, in which, tied hand and foot and gagged, lie Perry White and John Grayson. Hugo, a huge, powerfully built man, stands at the wheel of the speedboat, listens carefully as Rufus Pelly, in beautifully cut riding breeches and silk shirt, gives him his orders from the dock.
Tow them 3 or 4 miles out, Hugo. Well beyond the third harbor buoy.
Yes, sir, Mr. Paley.
Then cast off. When you put about 100 yards of water between yourself and them, press that white button, which will release the radio beam.
Yes. What'll happen then?
The beam will set off the explosive in that cylinder in the bow of the rowboat.
Will the boat explode?
If all goes well, there won't be enough left to the boat, White and Grayson, to put in a thimble.
Holy smokes.
All right. You're going now, Hugo. I'll be up in my study with the binoculars to personally witness the explosion. So let nothing go wrong.
No, sir.
Goodbye, you 2 fools. When you wake up in the next world, tell them to make room for the Peace Federation. I'll send that along after you.
His cruel eyes gleaming with savage amusement, Rufus Pelly watches as the speedboat towing Perry White and John Grayson surges out into his private harbor. Then he turns and enters the small elevator which rises through the rock to his great house above. Meanwhile, Superman, a long raincoat of Inspector Henderson's covering his costume, has arrived with the inspector at a small marine gasoline station on the bay of New Beacon. Henderson is questioning Paul Brower, the stocky, carroty-haired proprietor.
You You say your car was stolen this evening, Brower?
That's right, Inspector. I had to be in Metropolis on business. When I came out of the house of a fellow who was loaning me some money, my car was gone. I called the police right away. Then this fella, the one I was getting a loan from, he drove me back here.
Uh-huh. Who is this man, the one you were with?
Harry Johnson. Lives at 314 Locust Street.
Well, this sounds straight enough to me. Any questions you want to ask, Mr. Jones?
Just one or two, Inspector. Tell me, Mr. Brower, did this Mr. Johnson give you the money you wanted?
Oh, sure. He's an old friend of mine.
Was it a large loan?
No, not very. $1,000 is all. You see, I wanted to make some repairs to my wharf. I service the fishing and pleasure boats around here.
$1,000, eh? Wonder if you'd mind showing us Mr. Johnson's check or the cash.
What for?
Hey, what's the idea?
Oh, I've got a reason. Do you have any objections to showing us the check or the bills?
You see, Johnson didn't exactly give me the money yet.
You said he did.
He said he would. He's going to mail it to me tomorrow.
Now, listen, mister.
Never mind, Inspector, never mind. We've got to go now. Thanks very much, Mr. Brower.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, welcome.
Come on.
Wait, I said, let go of my arm.
Inspector, don't argue.
Hey, what's the idea, Superman? Why'd you pull me out of there? Couldn't you see that fellow was lying?
Of course I could, but I didn't want him to know we were wise to him. He would have... Great Scott! Out of my way, Inspector! Amazed, Inspector Henderson watches with mouth agape. The Superman hurtles through the air and flashes down under the waters of the bay. What has happened? We'll return in a moment for the tense climax of today's episode. So stand by.
You know, gang, you're missing out on something the other kids are having a lot of fun with, unless you're collecting the swell prizes from packages of Kellogg's Pep. 3 different kinds of prizes, one in each package of Pep you open. Just think, your next Pep prize may be a bright-colored comic button picturing one of your favorite comic strip characters, 18 in all, to collect and to wear on your jacket or beanie cap. Or maybe you'll find a bird picture in brilliant color with a full description on the reverse side. Collect all 24 of them, and will you be a wise bird on birds? Or maybe your Pep prize will be one of the 7 exciting colored cardboard plane models, easy and fun to put together. Remember, there's one or the other of these 3 slick kinds of prizes in every package of Pep, the Sunshine cereal. And you know, all the while you're collecting them, you can be enjoying breakfast with those crunchy golden whole wheat flakes of Pep. A dish of Pep with cool milk and sugar. Is that a delicious treat? What flavor? A catchy, fresh flavor. A top-notch, soul-good flavor. In short, a Pep flavor, meaning strictly terrific. So for an all-round prize dish and an all-round prize package, ask Mom today to get you a package of Kellogg's Pep first thing.
As Superman and Inspector Henderson left Paul Brower's marine filling station on the bay, the Man of Steel suddenly brushed Henderson aside and dove into the dark waters. Now, after only 2 or 3 seconds, he has flashed back to Henderson's side. Okay, Inspector, come on.
Come on, where? Say, why did you dive in the water?
I saw a private telephone in a cabinet in Brower's shop. The wire runs along the bottom of the bay.
What?
My hunch is it runs to the headquarters of the men who abducted Perry White and Mr. Grayson, and who want to sabotage the World Peace Federation.
Now, wait a
Brower
minute.
was obviously lying to us tonight. Right after we left, he went to the cabinet and picked up the private phone. I believe he's working for the gang, Inspector, and wanted to warn them about us. That's why I dove into the bay and snapped the wire.
Well, why didn't you tell me all this before? Come on, we'll go back and put the screws to Brower.
No. We'll just lose time trying to make him talk. I can follow that wire. All right, up under my arm, Inspector. I think this is going to be the showdown.
Well, here's hoping.
Yes, here's hoping we're not too late. Up, and away! Leaping up from the edge of the bay with Inspector Henderson, Superman streaks out over the water, his keen eyes following the cable telephone wire along the bottom. Will it lead him to Rufus Pelly's island estate? And if it does, can he possibly save the lives of Perry White and John Grayson? For at this moment, the giant Hugo and Rufus Pelly's speedboat is heading far out to sea, towing the rowboat with his helpless captives. The rowboat, which is fitted with one of Pedley's deadly machines of war. What will happen as Pelly himself, the greedy man of mass murder through war, sits in his glass-walled study atop his house and leisurely sips coffee while looking out to sea, waiting for the explosion which will signal the end of White and Grayson. Tomorrow brings the smashing climax of our story, fellows and girls. So don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal. Say, gang, you think of famous names. Do you think of Kellogg? You know, that's the greatest name of cereals. And Kellogg makes Kellogg shredded wheat, the tender plump biscuits, just the right size to fit in your breakfast bowl. And are they good? Full to the brim with natural nut-sweet flavor. Good for you, too. They're made of nutritious whole wheat. What's more, Kellogg gives you 15 delicious biscuits in every package of Kellogg shredded wheat. Try them soon. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
You are trapped in the dark cellar of your home. Beside you is the murdered body of your wife. And above at the front door are your friends looking for you, tracking you down, cutting off your escape.
Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully contrived to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to a university town in England and a household where hate holds sway as we listen to John Collier's famous story, Back for Christmas.
Yes, my dear.
What on earth are you doing down here in the cellar?
Why, just a little digging.
And why, may I ask, have you chosen this day of all days to dig up the cellar floor?
Why, I thought as the weather has been so damp, this would be an excellent time to plant my devil's garden.
Devil's garden? Whatever nonsense is that?
Oh, that's my little joke about it. You see, I've managed to secure some of the spores of several unclassified wild orchids. In their natural state, they bloom under damp masses of leaf mold. The Araucanian Indians call them devil flowers because they appear to bloom under the ground.
Well, I'm sure the Araucanian Indians will be very interested if you succeed in growing these ridiculous flowers under the cellar floor. Whom else it'll interest, I can't imagine. What's that terrible smell?
Why, that's the leaf mold, my dear. Chemically identical with the earth blanket they grow under in the wild state. I really should line the pit with concrete so as to prevent seepage from this foreign soil. But I don't suppose there'll be time for it now.
There certainly will not be time for it. Do you realize that we're sailing for America a week from today, and you've made no arrangements whatever? Unless you call digging a hole in the cellar making arrangements. I certainly don't. Devil's garden, indeed. Sometimes I think you're going soft in the head, Herbert.
Well, I suppose it's inconsiderate of me. But, you see, I've been wanting to try this experiment for a long time. But what with my lectures and seminars at the university, there never seemed to be time.
Well, there certainly isn't any time for it now. I suppose you've forgotten I made an appointment for you at the barber's this afternoon?
Oh, must I shave off my beard, Hermione?
Now, we've been all through that. Of course you must. They don't wear beards in America. Go and get your jacket on and do as I tell you.
Yes, Hermione.
And don't forget to take your umbrella. It looks like rain.
Yes, Hermione.
Oh, don't look so put upon, Herbert. Someone has to plan things in this house, or you'll never even get to the university in time for your lectures, much less make arrangements for a trip to America.
I know, but what of my specimens?
There'll be plenty of time to plant your precious devil's garden when you get home from America. We're not going to be gone forever, you know. We'll be back here for Christmas.
Yes, of course. Back for Christmas. I'd forgotten.
Well, try to remember it. And if you can't do that, just do as I tell you. I've been making the plans in this house for 20 years. And if there's any digging to be done, I'll manage that as well. You understand, Herbert?
Yes, Hermione.
Good. You have just 20 minutes to clean this mess up down here and keep your appointment at the barber's. And when you finish there, I want you to come straight home.
Why, I wanted to stop at Miss Markham's and pick up some books I ordered.
Well, all right. But don't loiter there the whole afternoon, browsing over those old books the way you usually do. Now hurry and clear up this rubbish. Get rid of that smelly stuff. And no more digging, mind you.
Yes, Hermione. Yes, Hermione. How many years have I been saying that? 10 years? 15? 20? Clear up the rubbish. Yes, Hermione. Don't forget your umbrella. Yes, Hermione. Do this, do that. Yes, Hermione. Yes, yes, yes. How much longer can I stand this?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Miss Markham.
Why, it's Professor Carpenter, isn't it?
You didn't recognize me.
Oh, you look ever so much younger without the beard. 20 years at least.
20 years.
Oh, you'll be glad to know those books you ordered have finally arrived.
Books?
Phytotany of phalloid gametophytes and coniferous shrubs of North America. Those are the ones you ordered, aren't they?
Oh, yes, yes. Thank you. You're very kind, Miss Markham.
Why kind, Professor Carpenter?
Well, not many young ladies in bookshops would go out of their way to look up rare books for an old professor of botany.
Oh, why, you're not old, Professor Carpenter. Really, you look... Oh, and besides, I adore botany. It's my particular hobby.
Oh, really? Well, you never told me that before, Miss Markham.
Oh, I was afraid to. You were so imposing with a beard and all.
Well, You might be interested in some specimens of alpine polyanthes that were sent to me by a friend in Switzerland.
Switzerland? I used to go there for my holidays before the war.
You like Switzerland?
Oh, I love every part of it. The lakes, the mountains, the beautiful spring flowers. Oh, especially the flowers.
Oh, yes. It seems we have quite a lot in common, Miss Markham. I'm sorry we haven't talked before.
Oh, I am too. It is all the fault of the beard, I suppose.
Miss Markham, forgive me if this sounds foolish, but I feel that shaving off my beard is the most important thing I've done for 20 years.
Oh, it is. I'm sure it is. I'm ashamed that I've been so distant with you all the time. Oh, there were times when I almost spoke up. Times when you came in here, tired after a day with your students at the university. Oh, you seemed so alone. The way I'm alone in the world. I'd like to have asked you to stay a while and talk with me. But some way or other, I wound up giving you your change and letting you go on your way.
You say you're all alone in the world?
Since my father died.
Well, did you never think of marrying?
Oh, my father was a very remarkable man. I never found anyone who seemed to measure up to what he led me to expect of men. And then the war came.
Miss Markham,
It's been so long since anyone called me by my first name. I'd like you to, if you don't mind. It's Marion.
Marion.
And yours?
Herbert.
How long have you been alone, Herbert?
Alone?
Oh, I knew you were a widower, of course, the first time I saw you.
A widower?
Oh, I can always tell. There's a certain sadness in a man's eyes. A sweet sadness, I think, when he's been married and then...
A widower? I never thought of it in quite that way.
Oh, perhaps I shouldn't be talking like this. But I've often wondered what she must have been like. Your wife, I mean.
Hermione? Not an easy woman to forget. Very strong, always managing things. The house, my wardrobe, my friends. When we dined at a restaurant, she even ordered my food. She was always managing things. You might say she managed herself to death.
Oh, poor woman. She must have loved you very much. But she needn't have put herself out so. It's plain to see you don't need things managed for you. You need Companionship, I think. Someone sympathetic with your work. But the last thing on earth you need is a manager.
How well you put it. The last thing on earth. That's the first time I thought of it, of course. But suddenly a whole new world opened up before my eyes. Marion and America and no more of Hermione's planning my life for me. By the time I got home, my mind was working overtime.
Well, at last. You certainly took long enough about it. What are you looking so pleased about?
I don't really know. Getting rid of the beard, perhaps. I feel 20 years younger.
You look even smaller. Your face looks triangular or something. I'd forgotten your chin was so weak. Oh, but never mind that. You can grow it back soon enough after Christmas. Where are you going?
Down to the cellar. I just bought this electric lantern, and I thought I'd put it away down there.
Now, whatever possessed you to buy a thing like that?
I don't know. I rather like this lantern. Might come in handy. Who knows?
Now, Herbert, don't start digging down there again. I've 100 things to do, putting the house in order before we leave. I want you to carry these boxes upstairs for me.
Yes, Hermione.
And if you're going down to the cellar, take this along and stuff it into the furnace.
But this is my old bathrobe. I may need it.
Oh, nonsense. I bought you a new one. Get rid of it. And don't start puttering down there with that devil's garden or whatever you call it.
I'm through digging, my dear. I think the pit is quite deep enough now for my devil's garden. It would all have to be carefully planned, of course. Just as carefully planned as Hermione was planning the trip to America. We both went about our respective engagements as the days passed. I spent all the time I could with Marion, and finally she consented. And then it was the last day, the big day, the day we were to sail for America.
Operator, are you there? I'm still waiting on that call to Salisbury. Oh, well, put them on quickly. Hello? Is this Paul Holt & Sons? Mrs. Herbert Carpenter here. Did you receive my letter? Oh, good. Now, remember, we'll be back for Christmas, and I want the job done without fail. What's that? Oh, no, I'm sure he doesn't suspect anything. Send the bill to me in New York as I instructed you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, there you are, Herbert. Where have you been?
Backstairs. I dismissed the servants.
Dismissed the servants? But I've asked some friends in to a farewell tea. Go and tell them it's a mistake.
I'm afraid it's too late now. They've packed and gone.
Oh, you have messed up things properly. How many times have I told you to leave things to me? I make the plans around here.
Yes, Hermione.
You'll have to do better than this when I plan the trip home, or we'll never in the world be back for Christmas.
Back for Christmas, back for Christmas. Must you keep saying that?
Well, why not? We are coming back for Christmas, aren't we?
Supposing I were offered a professorship in one of those wealthy American universities.
Nonsense. Americans care nothing for botany.
Luther Burbank was an American.
Well, that's different. What have you ever done except muck around in the dirt with a lot of roots and tubers?
They've asked me to lecture. That means something.
Of course they asked you to lecture. Americans are paid to hear any foreigner deliver a lecture once. Now, there's no use getting yourself in a state about this, Herbert. No doubt this extra money will come in very handy when we arrive back for Christmas. Precisely. And it's no good you're making a joke of it. Heaven knows where you'd be today if I hadn't got a sense of time.
Yes, my dear Hermione.
And since you've been so foolish as to dismiss the servants, you may empty the ashtrays and straighten up this room while we're waiting for the guests to arrive. I'm going upstairs to change. Call me when they get here.
Yes, Hermione. Yes, Hermione. Yes, Hermione. For 20 years, Hermione, always so right. Thought of everything. Well, not quite everything. She's dressing now. Safe to call Marion. Oh, if Marion were to change her mind now. If she had any idea I was not a widower. Hello? Hello? Marion? Herbert? No, my darling. Nothing's wrong. My plans are the same. Unless you've changed. Good. We'll meet in New York as we planned. Yes, I do love you, my darling. I'm sorry, I can't talk any longer. Yes, I'll meet you in New York a week from tomorrow without fail. Goodbye till then.
Herbert, were you talking on the phone just now?
Yes, Hermione.
Whoever was it?
Freddie. Freddie Sinclair, of course.
Oh. Didn't I hear you say something about meeting somebody in New York?
Why, yes. Old Freddie said he might possibly get out to America before we leave, and I said, of course, we'd meet him there if he decides to go.
That seems very peculiar. But then all of your friends are peculiar.
Yes, Hermione.
And just look at your jacket. Have you been digging in that cellar again?
Yes, Hermione.
Well, there's no need for it. You can't possibly get that Devil's Garden thing finished. Go and change your clothes before the guests arrive.
Yes, Hermione.
Oh, never mind. I see somebody coming up the walk now. Go and let them in.
Yes, Hermione.
Herbert.
Yes, my dear.
Look out the window. There's Professor and Mrs. Hewitt. But who's that with them?
Why,
Precisely. Freddie Sinclair. Peculiar. You should have been talking to him on the phone not 3 minutes ago. And now here he is.
Yes. Yes, isn't it? But then, as you say, Hermione, all of my friends are peculiar.
Not half so peculiar as you. Digging in the cellar an hour before we leave for America. Just look at yourself. And now that I think of it...
Yes, Hermione?
Oh, never mind. Go and let them in.
You were going to ask me something, Hermione. About the hole I'm digging in the cellar.
Oh, good heavens. Stop rolling your eyes about that way. One would think you were digging a grave down there instead of a storage bin.
Yes, Hermione.
What's that?
I said yes, Hermione.
Oh, bother. Open the door and stop saying yes, Hermione.
I think, my dear, I've said it for the last time. Back for Christmas. Hermione was so positive we would be back for Christmas. That last afternoon, pouring tea for a few friends who had come in to say last-minute farewells, she kept reiterating.
Oh, I promise you, Mrs. Hewitt.
Remember, we absolutely must have you with us for Christmas.
Oh, we'll be back.
It's not absolutely certain, of course.
Herbert, what do you mean it's not certain? Of course it's certain.
After all, Herbert, old boy, you've contracted to lecture for only 3 months.
Quite right, but then, of course, anything may happen.
Oh, Herbert adores being unpredictable. Now, what other man would dig a great hole in the cellar on the very day he was leaving for America?
A hole in the cellar?
Yes. He's going to put some unclassified wild orchids down there. A devil's garden, if you please. Sounds mysterious. That's Herbert, though he's really quite simple once you find out what he's up to. Now, take that telephone call he put through to you a few moments before you arrived, Freddie.
To me?
Yes. Herbert wanted to surprise me about your plan to meet us in New York next month. That's why he called, of course, to ask you not to mention it.
But, my dear Hermione, Herbert couldn't possibly have telephoned me within the past hour. I'd been walking in the park since 3.
He didn't telephone you?
Well, how could he? And as for my going to America...
Oh, now, come, Freddie. You may as well own up. Hermione has found me out again.
But, Herbert, old chap, I really don't understand.
There. You see what a poor liar Herbert makes. He's red as a beetroot.
Aren't you ashamed of yourself, Professor? Stringing poor Hermione along like that. And as for you, Freddie, I'm furious you said nothing to us about going to America.
But look here, old girl, I've been trying to tell everyone that I have no...
Stuff and nonsense. The game's gone on long enough. Perhaps Herbert's merely planning a surprise for me.
Yes, let's leave it at that, my dear.
Well, we must start getting ready. It was marvelous of you to come in to say goodbye. And don't worry about Herbert's little jokes. Oh, I will bring him back for Christmas. You may rely on it.
They all believed her. For years, she'd been promising me for dinner parties, garden parties, committees. And the promises had always been kept. This time, they wouldn't be. I'd seen to that. The servants were gone for good. The farewells all said. I had timed to the minute how long it would take to fill in the hole in the cellar, in my devil's garden. Upstairs in the bedroom, I undressed, folded my clothes over a chair, and put on my old bathrobe. Then I opened the door into Hermione's room.
Are you ready, Herbert?
Hermione, have you a moment to spare?
Of course, my dear. I've just finished.
Then do come in here for a moment. There's something rather extraordinary here.
Good heavens, Herbert, what are you lounging about in that filthy old bathrobe for? I told you to put it into the furnace.
I shall do it today, yes. I really will, I promise.
Well, high time. Now, what is it you want to show me?
In the bathroom here. Just look. Who in the world do you suppose dropped a gold chain down the bathtub drain?
Nobody has, of course. Nobody wears such a thing in this house.
Then what's it doing there?
I don't see anything.
Here. I'll hold this flashlight for you. If you lean right over, you can see it shining deep down.
Oh, such a lot of nonsense. Just with I don't see it, Herbert.
Go on looking, Hermione. In just a moment.
Herbert, I absolutely refuse to wait. Herbert, what are you doing? Take your hands off my neck.
I will, Hermione, just as soon as I've finished the arrangements for my trip to America.
What are you talking about?
You thought you were the only one who could plan things, didn't you, Hermione? Well, I've been making some plans of my own this past week. In exactly 2 minutes, you'll be dead, Hermione. You see? 2 minutes. I've planned it very accurately.
You'll never get away with it. Let me go.
I thought you'd say that, but I will get away with it. You won't mind the smell of the leaf mold down in the cellar when I take you there today. Yes. That's where you're going, Hermione. Into my devil's garden that annoyed you so much.
Oh.
The soil is full of clay. It won't settle too much. In a month or so, it won't even look as if it had been dug up.
My friends, they all expect me back for Christmas. If they don't hear from me, they'll wonder. If I don't come back, they'll start asking questions.
Oh, no, they won't. Because you'll write them letters, Hermione. On the typewriter, as you always do. They'll be signed H in that neat, cryptic way you always sign your notes to your friends.
Let me up.
No.
It won't work, Herbert. You never were any good at planning things.
Oh, but I've changed, my dear. I've learned from watching you all these years.
The lecture people in America, they'll expect you to be traveling with your wife.
I will be traveling with my wife. But her name will not be Hermione. Fortunately, they've never met you. I write a few letters home for you. Then fewer and fewer. Write letters signed with my own name. Always expecting to get back, but never quite able to. Keep the house 1 year, and then another and another. They'll get used to it. Might even come back alone in a year or two and clear it up properly. Say you died in America. Nobody will ever suspect you're lying under the floor of the cellar in this very house.
Oh, but it won't work, I tell you. That pit you dug in the cellar,
I can assure you, my dear Hermione, it'll serve its purpose well. Sorry, my dear. Got to get this done on schedule. You have just 5 seconds to say your prayers.
Oh, but you must listen. The cellar. Don't do it, Herbert. Herbert. Oh.
Hey. The water cut off at the main as I knew she would order it. She was so thorough, but so was I. Strangulation. Nothing to wash up. The electric current shut off exactly at 1 o'clock, just as she ordered it. She thought of everything. So did I. My nice new electric lantern. Plenty of light to work by in the cellar. The old bathrobe she wanted me to throw away came in handy now if there should be any chance blood stain. Then into the fire with it afterwards, the last evidence of my devil's garden. It was going well. Still an hour till I had to leave for the boat. The hold was almost filled. No. Oh, no, not now. Go away, please. Whoever you are, go away. Did I lock the front door? If it's the Wallingfords... Oh, no. Go away. Go away.
I say, Herbert, old thing.
Woo-hoo, Hermione.
Just keep calm, quiet. They won't look down in the cellar. Keep calm. They'll go away.
Where the dickens can they be?
Oh, the car's there.
Maybe they popped round to Liddell.
Oh, it must be.
Hardware shops, maybe. Something the last minute.
Oh, not Hermione.
Shall I shout?
Oh, don't. Might not be kept.
No harm in a shout, my love.
No, let's come in our way back. Hermione said they wouldn't look so sad.
Oh, all right. Only I want a last drink with old Herbert. He'd be hurt, you know.
All right, let's hurry. We can be back by 6:30.
6:30. There's still time. After that, it was easy. Put the finishing touches on the Devil's Garden, dress fast, get out of the house before 6:30, take the boat straight to Southampton and board the ship for America. All according to plan. Hermione's plan. I say, Stuart.
Right, sir?
My wife is indisposed. She'll be taking her meals in our stateroom.
Oh, for the old voyage?
Yes, for the whole voyage.
Well, I trust your wife is feeling better this morning, Professor Carpenter.
Yes, a little. Not yet well enough to leave her cabin.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, by the way, here's a copy of the radiogram you sent for your wife last evening.
Oh? Oh, thank you. I'll just check it over. I say, look here.
What is it?
Did the typist make a mistake?
No. No, nothing important. She can correct it later. For a moment, I had the feeling that Hermione had been leaning over my shoulder again, correcting what I'd written, as she always did. I had written a radiogram to Professor Hewitt and his wife. Haven't been out of my cabin the whole beastly trip. Herbert, well, we now doubt we will be back for Christmas. The copy read, we no doubt will be back for Christmas. Exactly what Hermione would have written. The rest of the voyage was uneventful, and Marion and I met in New York and were married just as we'd planned. Just as we'd planned. Professor and Mrs. Carpenter, we have reservations, I believe.
Oh, yes, we've been expecting you, sir. Boy, take Professor and Mrs. Carpenter's luggage up to their suite. You know, Mrs. Carpenter, you're quite a surprise. Your letter reserving the rooms was so thorough. I was expecting an older, more forbidding sort of person, frankly, ma'am.
Oh, no. As a matter of fact, we're just married. But my letter reserving the room...
I wrote the letter, my dear, and signed it Mrs. Herbert Carpenter. Purely a joke.
Oh, what a cunning old fox you are, Herbert.
Now that I think of it, I am, rather.
Oh, I almost forgot. There's a letter for you, Mrs. Carpenter.
A letter from me? I wonder who on earth...
Well, we shall find out in good time. Come along, my dear. We're keeping the boy waiting. Nothing like a cold, brisk shower to put a man to rights.
Herbert, this letter...
Oh, yes, the letter. Dry my hair, will you, dear?
It seems to be a bill of some sort. From a building contract in Salisbury. Oh, bother. Dry your own hair.
Oh, thank you, my sweet. Let's see this bill or whatever it is.
It's very puzzling. Herbert.
Hmm?
You were a widower, weren't you? I mean, Hermione isn't still alive.
I can assure you she is not. Let's have that letter. Dear Madam, this is to acknowledge your order, together with the keys to your house in Launceston Place. Our men had no difficulty in finding the place where your husband had begun the excavation in the cellar, but apparently changed his mind at the last moment and filled it in again. Oh, no.
What is it, Herbert?
Our men will begin digging tomorrow, and you may rest assured that it will be a professional job and will be completed in ample time for your surprise Christmas present to your husband. We are happy to be conspirators with you in this thoughtful gesture and hope that Professor Carpenter will be pleased at the results of our work on what he so quaintly calls his Devil's Garden. Very truly yours, Paul Holt & Sons Contractors.
What does it mean, Herbert?
It means that Hermione was right. I will be back for Christmas.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight brought you Back for Christmas by John Collier. Adapted for radio by Robert Tallman, with Paul Frees as Herbert, Eleanor Audley as Hermione, and Marta Metrovich as Marion. Music is conceived and conducted by Cy Fuhrer. Next week...
You are lost in a London fog, exhausted and frantic, unsure if the figures looming around you are real or creatures of your fear. And behind you, pursuing you, intent on killing you, lurks a murderer from whom you must escape.
Next week, we escape with Elgin Blackwood's ghostly story, Confession. Good night, then, until this same time next week, when again we offer you Escape.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The American Broadcasting Company Radio Network presents Space Patrol. High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy have entered a laboratory on the planet Mars to capture a criminal. With ray guns drawn, they advance toward their foe, who suddenly darts behind a high-frequency generator.
He's trying to get out the door, Commander. After him, Hat, before he gets away.
Yes, sir.
I can't move. You're in a high voltage field. Throw down your gun. I can't.
We'll be back in a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol story, Voyage to the Future. Obligation. It's a big word. What does it mean? Debt, perhaps? Duty? Yes. Necessity? Certainly. And for young men between the ages of 17 and 18 and a half with a military obligation, the National Guard offers many advantages and opportunities. If you enlist in your local National Guard unit, you may start your training right there at home. There's no need to interrupt your work or school. And as long as you maintain a satisfactory standing, you will not be placed on active duty unless your unit is called in a national emergency. Inquire about the unlimited opportunities the National Guard offers you by contacting your local armory. Preparedness now is a safeguard against the future. Do your part by enlisting in the National Guard. Now, today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, Voyage to the Future. Commander Corey has captured a criminal who has accidentally made an astounding discovery. The same hyperspace mechanism that enables star drive ships to travel enormous distances can also be used to send the ship back through time to any period in the past. An accomplice of the captured Dr. Scarno managed to escape with a pirate treasure that had been brought forward through time from the 16th century. At the Terra spaceport, Buzz and Happy are taking Dr. Scarno into the star drive ship in which the criminal scientist made his remarkable discovery.
All right, Scarno, before we blast off, let's get a few things straight. You're still in custody, understand?
Yes, Commander.
You're here because you're the only one who knows how to use the hyperspace mechanism to travel through time. If you cooperate, we'll be speeding up your rehabilitation treatment. You'll be a free man after it's soon. Just tell me what you want me to do. I want you to help us locate Phil Bristol.
But he hasn't got a star drive ship. I don't have the slightest idea where he is.
No, but you've got a good reason for wanting to catch him.
I have.
Happy means the pirate treasure.
You mean I get to keep it?
After you complete your treatment at the rehab center, it's yours. You dug it up and you're back in the 16th century. Since we don't have any laws at present governing time travel, the gold is yours by right of discovery.
Well, that's very generous of you, I must say.
You bet it is, Scarno. Scarno, here's my plan to capture Bristol. After we blast off from Terra, we'll set a hyperspace vector for the planet Earth. About 2 days back in time.
But Commander, Bristol is in the present.
Yeah. You disappeared from the spaceport behind these mountains 2 days ago, and you were on your third trip back into the 16th century.
Yes? So?
Within an hour or so, we know when he blasted off. And if we go back to that time, we can see him escape.
And you think we can stop him? Prevent him from doing something we already did 2 days ago?
That I don't know. Perhaps we can get a line on where he headed when he left the spaceport. Well, we're cleared for blast-off, sir. Space control to signal.
But it would be dangerous to use this ship. It's in bad shape.
When used fully. Yes, but I've had it checked. Mechanically, it's spaceworthy. The hyperspace computer is out of alignment, but that may be the reason the ship is able to travel in time.
Is the computer tampered with?
No, it's just the way it was the last time we used it. All right, prepare for blast-off. Hap, close ports.
Close ports.
Fire jets.
Fire jets.
Up ship and away. We're up to star drive velocity, Commander. All right, Hap. Scarno, had you set the hyperspace vector?
Yes. We should emerge near Earth with a time coordinate of minus 51 hours.
Good. You should see Earth as it was at 1400 hours 2 days ago. I'm cutting into star drive.
How do you feel, Storno?
Well, a little dizzy, but I don't think I'll black out this time.
You're probably getting used to the hyperspace transition. Happy ready to check Earth with the viewscope.
Yes, sir.
Hey, we're going back into regular space already. Storno, your job is finished for the time being. Just sit back and relax. There's the Earth. Not a focus of viewscope on South America. You'll vector in a few thousand DUs nearer the planet. Well, what if we check Bristol's spaceport and he isn't there? You mean we miscalculated the time. Let's go back an hour or so. Take a minute. There's a ship in the starboard viewport, outward bound from Earth. Quick, Cap. Get it tight and fast. Yes, sir. Let's try the cruiser. Class C. Just saw the ship of that description in Zandy's port. Is that right, Storno?
Yes.
Increase sensitivity and get the registry number, huh? Bristol ship was EPC 504S.
Maybe he changed it.
I doubt that he had time. I can just make it out, sir. It's EPC 504S.
Oh, it's Bristol ship, all right.
Hey, if we change vector, we can be on him in a few minutes. Yes, we'll try contacting him by space plane. Mandatory aboard Star Drive Cruiser JS-14. Polling Phil Bristol aboard private cruiser EPC 504S. Mandatory to Bristol. No response. Not changing speed or vector. He must hear you. Hey, maybe a warning shot with the spaceship. Oh, I forgot. The ship isn't armed. I wouldn't use it anyway. I don't think it would have any effect. Why not? For him, we may not exist in this part of space. The ship is now a time machine. We can see out and look at the past.
But Bristol being in the past can't see us.
There's one thing we can do. And that's follow Bristol's ship. We're gaining on him, sir. I guess you were right about him not being able to see us.
Yes, he'd be changing vector or something like that.
Seems to be on a Mars trajectory. We'll follow him and make sure. You were right, sir. Bristol's heading for Mars. Apparently he's going to land at Lowell City. Lowell City. Storno, do you know if Bristol has any contacts in Lowell City? Any place he might hide?
Yes, he mentioned a pal named Orman Betson.
Who is this Betson? What does he do?
Anything that pays a profit for very little work. At the front, he's an aerial prospector. You know, he flies over land with electronic probes searching for precious metals.
That sounds like honest work.
You don't know Betson.
All right, it's now minus 50 hours, 40 minutes. Set up the hyperspace computer to return to our present time.
Look, that's more than 2 days from now. Bristol may be somewhere else by then.
We can't get a lead on him from Betson. We're backtracking through time. Now get busy, Storno. Set a vector for Mars, present time.
Orman Betson's laboratory in Lowell City is small but well equipped. The array of ore samples, charts, and testing devices indicate that Betson is a serious, capable expert on metals. At this moment, he is examining some coins handed him by Phil Bristol.
Yeah, they're gold, all right.
Of course they are. But look at the dates on them. They're genuine Spanish coins minted in the 16th century.
They look too new to be genuine, Bristol. A coin collector who knows his business will just laugh at you.
They're 14 centuries old, I tell you. And I've got a whole chest full of them.
A real pirate treasure. You've stumbled on some of Captain Kidd's hidden loot. Really, Bristol, I'm insulted to think you try to pass such a phony job of counterfeiting off on me.
Betson, listen. I know this is going to sound crazy, but these are the real thing. They were transported from the past into the present. That's why they look new.
Oh, sure. I should have known.
They're right out of the 16th century. If I'm lying, I hope a bolt of lightning strikes me dead.
Oh, you sure jumped.
What was it?
Nothing to be alarmed about, Bristol. If you don't get close to that machine over there, I'm charging up some fake tellurium.
Oh, what's the idea?
I plant the stuff on some land a friend of mine owns. We sell the valuable property to a sucker. And we split the profits.
Oh, great. But is it dangerous, the machine, I mean?
You're near the machine during a charge and you're holding a piece of metal, you get knocked across the room, that's all. In another hour, I'll have some fake tellurium, and we'll test out like a real thing. It's more than I can say for your Spanish coins.
You've got to believe me. I've been waiting here in Lowell City for 2 days when you got back from Venus.
These aren't fakes. Dr. Scarno accidentally discovered a way to travel into the past.
Doc Scarno?
Yes, he stole a star drive ship. The hyperspace computer was out of adjustment. And he ended up in the year 1591. He figured out how to control it. Now he can use the ship to travel in time as well as through space.
Where is Scarno now?
Unless he's still back in the 16th century, he's probably looking for me.
What?
That's why I need your help. Scarno left the treasure chest with me while he made another trip into the past.
And you double-crossed him? You idiot! For one little chest full of gold, you ruin a chance to make millions. Talk about killing the goose that laid the golden egg.
But listen, I didn't want to get mixed up with Scarno. The Space Patrol will be after him for what he did to Commander Corey and the cadet.
Well, what did he do to them?
He's going to drop him off in the 16th century.
Drop them off? Oh, what a marvelous idea. I sure got to hand it to Doc Scarno. With Corey back in the 16th century, Scarno won't have to worry about him being here in the 30th.
But Scarno's still on the spot. Corey's got friends.
Sure. So has Scarno. In the next room, Bristol. Go on, get moving. Commander Corey.
Rather surprised.
It's just that I wasn't expecting a visit from the top brass. I mean, it isn't every day I get a visit from the Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol, sir.
Are you Ormond Detson?
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
I'm looking for Phil Bristol.
Phil Bristol? I don't know anyone by that name.
We have it on good authority that you and Bristol are partners.
That's really funny, Commander. Who told you that?
A crook who calls himself Dr. Scarno.
Scarno? Oh, I thought he...
Hey, Commander, look. Look at this. Here on the desk.
What is it, man?
Gold coins. Spanish coins. Dated in the 1500s.
Just some imitations. For an exhibit a friend of mine is arranging.
Let me see these.
You see, this friend of mine has a hobby, duplicating coins of the past. You can tell by their new appearance that they're not meant to be the real article. They're just artistic copies.
These are the real thing, Detson.
What?
Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter, but they prove that Bristol was here. Where is it?
And he was telling the truth after all. Scarno did go back into the past.
That's right. Yeah, and he tried to Shanghai us back to the 16th century. And at present, he's safely locked up in a compartment of a star drive ship at the spaceport. Tell us where Bristol is, or you'll be joining Scarno. Now, don't try to get away, Detson. We'll use our ray guns.
You won't find Bristol if I'm unconscious.
After him, Happy, before he gets away.
Yes, sir.
I can't move. You're in a high voltage. Throw down your gun. I can't.
Quite a shock, wasn't it, gentlemen? When you recover, you'll get another kind of shock. From Doc Scarno.
We'll return to today's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment. Boys and girls, here's a little problem. How long does it take to cross a street? 5 seconds? 10 seconds? Well, that may be the right answer if you're careful to cross at the corner and wait for the traffic light. But if you cross in the middle of the block, it may take you weeks to get to the other side. Yes, weeks. Weeks spent in the hospital or in bed at home with broken bones and bruises that come from being in an automobile accident. Don't forget, the motorist doesn't expect to find anyone in the middle of the block. He may not be able to stop in time. That's why it may take weeks from the moment you start across the street until you finally reach the other side. The second you might save isn't worth those weeks you might lose. So be careful. Cross with the light and only at corners. Remember, the life you save may be your own. Now back to today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, Voyage to the Future. Buzz and Happy trailed the fugitive Phil Bristol to a laboratory in Lowell City on the planet Mars. Bristol's associate, Ormond Detson, at first denied all knowledge of the wanted man, but the presence of ancient Spanish coins proved Detson's story to be false. Faking an attempt to escape, Detson lured the Space Patrollers into a high-voltage field, stunning them with a strong electric shock. Now, Detson and Bristol, the two criminals, securely bind Buzz and Happy.
I am good and tight, Bristol. Later, we'll gag him.
How they happen to come here?
Scarno's plan misfired. Corey's got Scarno locked in the Star Drive ship at the spaceport.
Okay. I'm tied up. Let's get out.
No. We're going to the spaceport and rescue Scarno.
Jetson, are you crazy? We couldn't get into that ship.
With Corey and the cadet with us, we can. We'll keep a blast gun in their ribs and make it look as though Corey was taking us to the ship.
I don't like it. It's too risky.
All right, relax. Corey, you're tied up.
Better turn us loose. Happy and I aren't back at the spaceport very soon. We'll be having company.
Don't worry. You'll be back all right, Corey. You're taking us to Scarno. If you try to tip off your men, we'll use a blaster on the first hero who tries to stop us. Knowing that any attempt to escape or spread an alarm would be fatal to themselves and to others, Buzz and Happy permit themselves to be taken to the Lowell City spaceport by Detson and Bristol. Unchallenged, the two criminals, apparently escorted by the space patrollers, board the Star Drive ship and release Dr. Scarno. Scarno immediately takes charge and forces Buzz to blast off.
All right, Corey. Get away from the controls. Move. Okay, Scarno. Detson, you take over.
Sure, Doc.
Keep watching the view scope. If you sight any space patrol ships, we'll go on the Star Drive.
Look, why don't we go back into the past to pick up some more treasure? We'll be safe there.
It isn't as simple as that. You have to know exactly where the treasure is.
Yeah, and besides, you can't do anything while you're in the past that would change the real future.
Hey, I've got it. We can't change the past, but we might change the future. The future hasn't happened yet.
You getting that, Doc?
We knew what was going to happen tomorrow, or next week we could clean up on investments, government projects.
Yeah, even sports events.
Can you travel into the future?
There's just one way to find out. Set the computer to a future time and try it.
Doc, that's taking an awful risk.
We'll land this ship on Mercury. A nice, safe place with another spaceship handy in case we have to leave in a hurry. You, Bristol, will take this ship into the future.
But I don't know anything about Star Drive or hyperspace vectors.
The cadet does. We'll go with you. I'll give complete instructions on how to set a vector for the future and for your return.
But, Doc, you can't trust the cadet.
And I'm not so sure I can trust you. This is a chance for you to redeem yourself, Bristol. You can keep the cadet locked up. He'll be your insurance in case you can't work for hyperspace.
Now, just a minute, Scarno.
You got it, Corey.
Doc, I got an idea. The Gantolis project on Venus.
What about it?
The government commission hasn't decided yet whether or not to okay the power project near Mount Gantolis.
Go on.
If we go ahead with it, we'll open the whole valley to industry, mining, and farming. Everything.
Yes, but there's another site under consideration.
Look, if we could look a month or two into the future, we know that information would be worth millions.
Brilliant. We'd clean up legitimately, too. Whichever way the commission votes, we'd be in on the ground floor.
How do I find out how the commission will vote, even if I do get into the future? Now, this is a new scandal.
No, you idiot. You merely fly over Mount Gantolis. If there's activity there, construction, mining, then you'll know the answer.
I'm warning you, Scarno.
I'll handle this, Corey. You're staying with Detson and me at our Mercury hideout. That's to ensure the cadet's good behavior with Bristol. You understand what I mean, cadet?
Yeah, sure.
Good. All right, Detson. Get a vector for Mercury.
In Scarno's hideout in a desolate region of the planet Mercury, Scarno stands by a spaceophone while Detson keeps Commander Corey covered with a blast gun. The three men look through a window watching the Star Drive ship grounded 200 yards away. What's the matter with Bristol? I hope he's not having trouble with that cadet.
You just watch, Corey. Scarno to Bristol. Bristol, do you read me? Come in.
Bristol here, Doc. Just locked the cadet up. All ready to blast off.
All right, listen. If you want to live to see the real future, don't try to double-cross me again. Scarno out.
Doc, if this works, we'll own the entire United Planet.
Right. Knowledge is power, they say. And you'll have knowledge. Knowledge no one else can get.
And there they go. Into the future.
Into ours.
If Happy doesn't come back, Scarno, you won't have it.
Locked in the compartment, Happy feels the acceleration of blast-off. Then, later, the eerie hum of the hyperspace mechanism as the ship goes into Star Drive. Once more, the ship emerges into regular rocket drive. Still, Happy has no way of knowing where he is, either in space or in time.
All right, Cadet, come on out. I need you up forward. Where are we? Where we're supposed to be, over Venus. Hurry up. I need help to get back into Stardust.
And you're in the future?
Yeah. And remember, I got you covered. Just check the hyperspace computer. Be sure I got it set up right for a return to regular time.
How far into the future are we?
According to Scarno's calculations, 2 months. All right, get to work.
Hey, the view screen. Is that Mount Gantolis?
Never mind that. Your job is a computer.
Hey, look at all the activity down there in the valley.
That shows the commission voted to go all out on the Gantolis project.
And rockets. Look at Mount Gantolis. Smoke is pouring out of it. It's erupting.
Yeah, what do you know? A volcano.
If you look closer to the east, you can see cracks in its roof. Bristol, we've got to warn those people down there in the valley. There's a volcano erupting. Quite.
Never mind. Get back to Scarno.
Scarno can go kiss a cop. If we warn those work crews in time, they can get out of the valley before that hot lava comes pouring down on them.
Get away from that space phone, Cadet, or I'll use this ray gun.
That won't get you back to Scarno. For the love of Jupiter, Bristol, if you don't think anything of human life, at least think of your future investment.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, but make it fast.
Don't worry. Urgent. Emergency. This is Cadet Happy aboard cruiser JS-14, now over Mount Gantolis, Venus. Calling Gantolis Project and all Space Patrol units in the Venus sector. Emergency. Attention, all Venus stations. Mount Gantolis is erupting. Clear the lower valley immediately. Cadet Happy calling all Venus stations. Acknowledge. Repeat. This is Cadet Happy aboard Star Drive ship JS-14. Sound disaster alert in the Gantolis area.
All right, Boy Scouts, you've done your good deed. That's enough.
Bristol, maybe they didn't hear you.
Maybe they can't hear you. They're in the future. We're from the past. Now, come on, fix up that hyperspace vector. We're going back to report to Scarno.
As the Star Drive ship settles down near the hideout on Mercury, Scarno sends Detson out to bring Bristol and Happy into the hidden stronghold. Scarno jumps Happy toward Commander Torres.
You two stand over there. This tricky move from either of you, and I'll use this blaster.
Happy, you all right?
Yes, sir. I think so.
And quiet. Bristol, did you make it? You get into the future.
Yes, sir.
What about Mount Gantolis? What did it look like?
I don't remember.
Cadet, you tell me. The Gantolis project go through.
I don't know. There's something I try to remember. Maybe it was a dream. At least I could think of it.
Scarno, they seem to be in a state of shock. I don't know why.
All I want from these men is a simple answer.
Did they get into the future?
It's a blank from the time we went into hyperspace until we came out. I must have had a dream. Horrible. Almost a nightmare.
About what?
No, sir. I wish I could
Better remember or I'll beat it out of you.
Hold it, Scarno. Maybe it's impossible to bring anything back from the future. Not even a memory.
Why not?
Bristol and Happy are back in the present. Memories return to the same condition they were in before.
Scarno, give me that gun. I'll beat some memories out of Bristol.
Get Scarno, Happy.
Yes, sir.
All right, Detson, had enough?
Yeah. This was our coach. Well, I think the rest of the set is fighting among themselves. Hey, what's the matter? Where's Scarno?
He ducked out while we were busy with his plan.
I see him now. He's nearly through the ship. Hey, I'll go after him.
No, Happy, you'd never make it. I'll warn the mental unit to watch for him. Keep an eye on Bristol and Detson.
Yes, sir. I wish I could remember what happened aboard that ship. I have a vague recollection of a terrible fear.
There goes Scarno. Commander Corey in Sector G4 Mercury, calling Mercury City Space Patrol Headquarters. Corey to Mercury City Headquarters. Urgent, come in.
Mercury City Space Patrol Headquarters, Commander Corey, Captain Collins here.
Captain, sound on all units alert. Intercept Star Drive cruiser JS-14, just blasting off from Sector G4 Mercury. Doc Scarno is aboard.
Star Drive cruiser JS-4, yes, sir.
Get into action fast. Scarno may go into hyperspace as soon as he reaches Star Drive velocity.
Very good, sir. Do you need any help for yard?
No, thanks. There's a ship here. Happy and I will bring in two of Scarno's men.
And Happy's there with you.
Yes, why?
We intercepted a strange message on a hyperspace receiver. Boy, explaining to me that Happy sent out a disaster.
Huh? Me? A disaster call? Captain, this is a hyperspace pickup?
Yes, sir. Somebody must be playing practical jokes. We sent out a Venus squadron and investigate just in case.
Investigate what?
Mount Gantolis. Here's a microtape recording of the message. Want to hear it?
Yes, go ahead.
Cadet Happy calling all Venus stations emergency. Mount Gantolis is erupting. Clear the lower valley immediately. Cadet Happy aboard Star Drive ship JS-14. Sound disaster alert in the Gantolis area.
That's it. Venus headquarters sent patrols to Gantolis. There's nobody in danger. The valley's deserted. There's no sign of an eruption.
No, Captain. There isn't now, but there will be in 2 months.
I beg your pardon?
And never mind, Captain. I'll contact you later. Sorry, out. Commander, it's beginning to come back. Those poor people. I saw them when the volcano erupted. The lava was pouring down right over them. The volcano may erupt 2 months from now. There'll be no one in the valley. Let's see that. Okay. I had no idea the hyperspace transmitter was on. Well, how come it could get through from the future back to the present? I'm not sure, Hap. Perhaps in hyperspace, time has no past, present, or future. Maybe just one big no. Then there won't be a disaster? You mean I really changed the future? Hap, everything we do changes the future. That's what makes living fun. Yes, sir, you're right. And you know, I sort of hope the patrol ships don't get Scarno. We'll make the fun of catching him ourselves. Either. You don't need a trip into the future to know the answer to that.
A preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment. Modern-day aviation has made vacations in Europe commonplace. It also has made possible intercontinental war. Of course, our country has a protective radar system, but there are gaps in this defense screen which can be penetrated by low-flying planes. To cover these blind spots, the Air Force has organized the Ground Observer Corps, the civilian component of the Air Defense Command. It operates 24 hours a day in observation posts and filter centers, reporting the presence and activity of unidentified aircraft. Right now, 150,000 more part-time volunteers are needed, men, women, and teenagers. You're asked to join. The Silver Wings of the Ground Observer Corps are a proud symbol of civilian participation in our defense. Contact your nearest Civil Defense Center. Now a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy have been taken back millions of years through time, forced out of Scarno's spaceship in a tropic jungle on the planet Earth. Stay clear of that tar pit, huh? Get stuck in that stuff, you'd have a hard time getting in. Smoke and rockets. What was that? What I think it is, we're in trouble. Hey, Commander, look. Coming out of the jungle. It's a monster. The biggest dinosaur that ever lived. It must be 50 feet high, I'm sure. Wow. Look at those teeth. It could gobble us up in one bite. Dog Happy, run! Be with us next week for the thrilling Space Patrol story, The Monster from the Past. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Ken Mayer, Norman Jolly, and Tom McKee. Dick Wesson speaking. Don't forget to tune in next Saturday at this same time for exciting adventure on Space Patrol. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.